What is going on Facebook? This is Tyler Carlston here with the Mortgage Accelerated Podcast. And this week we have the bald broker, Dan Patty. How you doing, Dan?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
So
Just
how's
sharing this
everything
here
been
real
for you
quick.
the
Give me
last
one
few
sec.
weeks?
Everything's been doing good, man. Things are obviously really crazy busy. This rate drop that nobody really expected has really kind of kicked things into high gear. We were already pretty busy with purchases, with it being the summer season. So things are really, really busy, but they're good, can't complain.
Yeah, that's 100% true. So, I mean, you touched on it there. I mean, it really came out of nowhere. I knew the rates were going to go down, but I just didn't know it was going to go down this much. I mean, I think the average right now is like 3.84 or something like that. Last I
Yeah, I
checked,
mean,
but I mean, I expected to
nobody
stay
really.
around this rate for probably the rest of the year, anywhere fluctuate up to 4.
I think we're going to see a nice little stay here for the next 6 to 9 months or so. I mean, it's hard to predict any, global and economic instability, but with everything we kind of have going on in DC and just with the trade issues and the tariffs that we have going on with other countries, I think we're going to see this kind of shake out similarly to how it's been for the next 6 to 9 months. But honestly, it's kind of hard to predict what's going to happen. So we'll see. But for now, the loan officers out there just getting every past client you have and making sure that they understand their rates are literally pretty much the second lowest in history. Right after Brexit in 2016, we saw that they were at all-time lows, and it's the lowest that they've been since then. So yeah, definitely a great opportunity to connect with all your past clients.
Yeah, I mean, I would say most people still should stick with the purchase side, but I mean, when this opportunity comes along, you definitely have to cash in and really help your clients the best you can in reaching out to them. It's funny,
Totally.
I've heard around that some lenders still haven't even started reaching out to some of their past clients yet, who still signed up to like 4 or 5 and stuff like that. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I understand there's a lot of workload, but I remember I was listening to Barry Habib. He was saying right now is not the time when you come home early from the office, or that you take weekends off, or that you leave early on Friday. This is just a time right now where you got to be working, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And these times in the industry don't come around all the time. So when they do, you really just got to be all over it. And, sometimes you're going to be missing dinner or missing activities on the weekend, but you owe it to your referral partners and to your clients to really be the best that you can be. So there's slow times, there's crazy times. Right now we're in a little bit of a crazy time. So, you just got to go with the flow. Anybody who's in this industry understands that, and it's just something that you got to do.
Yep, that's 100% true. So, Dan, why don't you introduce yourself? Give us a little bit more background. I see you where you work right off your background, but just give us a
Yeah.
little bit more backstory about you.
Yeah. So my name's Dan Patty, born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. I am a father, I'm a husband, and I'm the broker and owner of Sol Costa Home Loans. Been in the mortgage industry since February of 2015, so about 4.5 years now. And just switched over to the broker side this past February, so 4 months ago, and I absolutely love it. I have my son; he's just coming up on 3 months old. My wife, we've been married a couple of years now. We have 2 pugs, so life's good. Can't complain.
So, what really got you into the mortgage industry? Where'd you get your start at?
Yeah, so kind of a unique story maybe. So after college, I went to school down in Fresno State, and I graduated with a business degree. Like anybody coming out of college at 22, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I got recruited by Target actually right out of college. So I was a logistics manager, and then I became a human resources manager. And my lease was up on my apartment that I was renting. And my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she said, have you considered buying a home? And this was back in 2014. And I said, like, no, nobody, my parents were not homeowners. I didn't really see myself as someone who deserved to own a home, but, prices were still pretty low back in 2014. So thankfully I was able to do it. And at the time, I was getting kind of burnt out on retail, just in all honesty. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about managing people, leading people, hiring, training, staffing, development, all things that can kind of carry over into the mortgage industry. But I just knew this wasn't what I wanted to do for the next 20 years, you know? So as I was going through the process of buying my own home, you know, I really enjoyed the process. I've always loved working with numbers. I've always loved working with people. And, you know, my wife had done real estate and mortgage and things like that before. And she said, you know, have you ever considered going into mortgage? And then, you know, no, who considers going into mortgage if you don't have a, you know, family ties or whatever, right? So I just knew that my time with retail had run its course. So I had called my loan officer who did the loan for my home and asked him for a job. And he said, you know, do you want to do something more on the sales side or more like the operations? I said, honestly, I don't even really know what that means, what the difference is. But if you just give me a shot, I know I'm willing to work hard and I'll figure out whatever you think is best for me. So he said, you know, I could see you doing something in sales. So if you're interested, let me know. I said, heck yeah, let's do it. So he said, you know, go get your license and then come back and talk to me and we'll get you set up as a loan officer. So I put my 2 weeks in at Target the next week. I, you know, spent the next 3 or 4 weeks studying for the NMLS test, passed my license, and been licensed ever since February of 2015 and haven't looked back since then.
That's a really good story, Dan. So, what do you think the biggest struggle was when you first got into the mortgage industry? I mean, coming from having no family ties or any prior experience, it seems like you just jumped right in. So, what do you think was the biggest struggle when you first got in the industry?
Yeah, I would say, you know, just what you said, not having any connections in the industry, literally coming in 100% cold, being relatively young, you know, I was 25 at the time, I just turned 30. So I think really just having no roots to really kind of reach out and try to go get business. So I started in February. Like I said, I didn't close my first loan until June 30th, 2015. So 4.5 months in, I closed my very first loan. And you can imagine as a 25-year-old, my savings was running pretty thin during that period. But you know, I just think really starting from the ground up with no connections. You know, I was never once given a lead. I never purchased leads. Like, you know, every once in a while I'll run Facebook ads now, but it really was truly from the ground up. I wasn't in a call center. I wasn't fed leads from a bank. I really self-sourced my own business from day one. So I'd say that was probably the biggest struggle. Just that first 12 to 18 months, man, it was pretty tough.
So, is most of your business now, where do you generate most of your business? Is it mostly referral partners, or where's everything come from for you right now?
Yeah, I would say the biggest chunk of my business is going to be from real estate agents. Right after that would probably be just sphere of influence, you know, within the community and, you know, past client referrals. I hate the term past clients, or just client referrals. And, you know, I try to do a lot of things in the community and, you know, doing Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, you know, with a newborn and starting the business. I haven't had quite as much time recently, but I'm going to get back into that. So just, you know, I would say doing everything kind of locally self-sourced, right? So real estate agents that are in my local market, sphere of influence, and clients.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what are you striving for the next 12 months? I mean, I know you just opened in February, so how's business looking right now for you?
I've honestly never been busier than I am right now. You know, I kind of, like I said, I started in February and, you know, there's a little bit of a learning curve with everything, right? Like learning the new systems, the new processes, a little bit different than on the retail lending side. But I mean, things are just crazy busy. I'm doing more purchases than I ever have, and I'm doing more refinances than I ever have. So, you know, every day I wake up at between 4:15 and 4:30. I start my day. My most productive hours are between that, you know, 4:30 and 8 a.m. window when most of the world isn't quite up and operating yet. I just get a lot of stuff done. But yeah, I mean, just working like crazy, but business has been great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I found that we really, as humans, when we work, we really only have a short period of time where we're really the most effective. I mean, you had mentioned like the first 4 hours of the day is when you're the most effective, and I know that's true with me. It's probably from like 7 to 11 is when I can really hustle down and get most of my stuff done, and like the rest of the day, you get what I'm saying. But that's pretty interesting that you said that. So, what's
Yeah,
your next
you know, I think
goal?
everybody has their own like bursts of energy, right? Like I know Todd Bitter, he said his most productive time is from like 10 to 1 in the morning or whatever craziness that he does out there. So you just got to know yourself and know when you're really going to be most productive. And, it's a lot of work doing what we do. So yeah, you just got to take advantage of every moment that you can.
Yeah, that's true. So what's next for Costa Home Loans for the next 12 months? Like, what do you have planned out? What's the next big thing that you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so eventually I would like to scale. I would like to bring on other loan officers. Right now, I'm the only producing loan officer at Costa Home Loans. With the change, I wanted to make sure that I really understood the entire broker process and that I kind of had everything buttoned up myself and that I felt 100% comfortable before I started bringing on others. But I definitely would like to grow. I would like to expand. Probably not within the next 3 to 6 months, but maybe within the 6 to 12-month window. That's something I'll definitely be looking at.
That's awesome. So when you are moving into growing, like, what challenges do you think you're going to face coming up with trying to scale your business? Do you foresee any problems that you're going to have to try to handle before they arise?
So for me, my goal in expanding, I'm not the type of person where I want to bring on, it's actually the same philosophy I kind of have when it comes to like referral partners. So I don't want to just bring on any single person. I don't want to try to meet with every agent and get business from everybody. What I really want to do is I really want to grow in a controlled manner, just like I bring on, new relationships with real estate agents and other business partners. I really want to be selective on who I bring on to my team and who I work with. And I feel like if you're really selective with who you choose to work with and who you choose to bring on to your company in the first place, it can really help mitigate a lot of those risks and reduce a lot of the concerns and issues that you may have otherwise. So it's kind of hard to say, right? Until you get into the actual growth phase, it's hard to predict what may happen. But I know where I'm really fortunate is the broker community. We are so close and everybody's so helpful. It's not a cutthroat thing where, someone in another state may not help you, like Glenn Groves and Ashley Miller of GTG Financial. They were huge in helping me kind of get everything started, even though they're just, 45 minutes up the freeway from me. Evan Wade out in Philadelphia has been instrumental in helping me out as well. Anthony Casa, of course. And we just have such a great community that I feel like any issues or hurdles that come up, somebody's probably experienced it before. So we can really lean on each other. And, it makes it easier when you have that kind of mentor and other people that have already been down that path.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, having somebody there to help you along through everything is definitely, and like you had mentioned, the broker community is so tight knit. Everybody's just a huge helpful family. I mean, I definitely sense where you're coming from there. So Dan, let me ask you, if you could change one thing that you've noticed in the industry so far, what would be one thing you could change?
I would say for me, I'm just on my client and very consumer, and I always try to do what's best for them. I really believe in the cliche saying that doing the right thing is always the right thing. I think first and foremost, just on a smaller scale, I would cap any primary residence loan at not having the client be able to pay more than 2 points of discount, right? Or not paying more than 2 points for their rate. I've just seen so many other loan estimates and so many quotes from these online banks where they'll say you get a 2.9% interest rate, and then you read in the fine print they're charging like 4 points. And for someone who's going to be occupying that as their primary residence, 99 times out of 100, that's never going to make sense for them, right? They're either going to refinance, sell, especially first-time home buyers. They're not going to stay in the property 15, 20, 30 years most time to really take advantage of all those upfront fees that they pay. So that's just one thing on a smaller scale. But on a bigger scale, what I would really love to see happen if I was kind of in charge of the mortgage industry is every new loan officer within 60 days of getting their NMLS license, I feel like should have to go through some type of in-depth personal finance, financial literacy course. Because for me, I try to do a lot of homework and read up on, not just the mortgage industry, but also, personal finance, because I do really feel like they go hand in hand. So I feel like, there's a lot of loan officers out there that are advising people on, the biggest transaction of their life, a $250,000, $500,000, $800,000 loan that may not have a personal idea and philosophy on how finances work. So for me, it's kind of hard to advise somebody on such a large financial purchase when you don't have that background and that base knowledge yourself. So that's something that I would passionately advocate for, and I think would be awesome if it could somehow happen.
Yeah, you make a really good point there. I mean, it's if someone isn't able to give you the correct advice, I mean, that could really throw off the course of your life. Because I mean, like you said, it's one of the biggest financial decisions anybody's going to make in their life, especially out in California when homes are $500 to $1 million just for a single family home.
Yeah, exactly.
So Dan, what I always like to ask this, what gets you going and what drives you to wake up every day and work so hard?
I mean, number one is my family, right? If I don't get out there and get after it every single day, they're not going to have the best life possible. So I owe it to them. If I'm ever slacking off or if I'm being lazy, I'm not being the best man, the best father, the best husband that I could be. So I owe it to them to get out after it every single day. And I've just always been a competitive person. Like for me, I always want to be able to do more, to be better, to be greater. And if I know something's on my plate, I always want to get it done. So if I have to wake up at 3:30 to get extra things done, I'm going to make it happen. So for me, I think part of it's just an innate personality characteristic to where I'm always competitive, and I love to stay busy, right? Like I was a bowler growing up, so I was always really competitive with that. And when I lost, I'd get really pissed off. Same thing in the mortgage industry. Like I never want a client to think I didn't get back to them. I never want a referral partner to think I'm not taking care of their clients who they trust with me. So, I just don't want to let anybody down, whether it's my family, my clients, or my referral partners. So I just owe it to everybody to give it my best every single day.
That's a really strong why, and I align with you on a lot of those. So, I mean, it was really great having you on, Dan. That is all the time we have today. I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate coming on. It's great getting to know you, and hopefully everybody watching gets a little bit more insight on how you are as a person and as a lender.
Right on, man. I appreciate you having me on. I wish you the best as well.
All right, thanks, Dan. Everybody, tune in next week for the next episode of the Mortgage Accelerated podcast. Thank you.